Hi guys, welcome back to the last episode of Kau Sekolah Apa. So I think you guys might be wondering lah, because throughout the episode we have been talking about all these unique schools from boarding school lah, sekolah agama. We never really spoken about the typical sekolah kebangsaan. So I mean, we are not trying to ignore public schools, but we have a very interesting guest here today who's going to share her experience in studying in our typical sekolah kebangsaan where the majority of Malaysians would have studied.
Hey anak muda, Afiq Kamaruddin here, one half of the founding members of Renegade Radio, and we're so proud to be collaborating with the Sambal Pod on this intriguing yet eye-opening project called Kau Sekolah Apa. At Renegade Radio, we're rebels with a cause. Armed with an independent network and an agency, we sought to help brands and creators build powerful podcasts to amplify their voice and cement their authority. To find out more about us, check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and pretty soon, a brand new website. On behalf of Renegade Radio, we sincerely believe in the mission and vision of the Sambal Pod, and we hope you guys enjoy the show. So, Kau Sekolah Apa?
I studied in Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Kononel Bukit Tajam for my secondary and Sekolah Kebangsaan Kononel Bukit Tajam for my primary.
You've been a convent girl all your life.
Yes, technically, yeah.
Okay. I was a convent girl during my primary school.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so when I had to do my transition to secondary school, which you guys will know if you have listened into the previous episodes, so please tune in to the previous episodes as well. Thank you very much. I was a convent girl for the first 6 years of my life. So transitioning to a co-ed school was pretty weird for me. I took it really bad.
I understand that, true, because I did study 1 year in a quiet school.
Okay.
I studied in BM High School for 1 year.
Okay.
So I kind of understand where you're going with the whole... It's a weird phase lah, I would say.
You have like guys in your space, all of a sudden you're like, you go to your classroom and there's a guy and you're like, what's going on? Yeah, it can be pretty weird as well. And also in my school, we had that kind of culture where the boys would always sit in front, the girls would sit behind.
Oh, okay.
So I hated that. I had an interesting schooling life, I would say, because you not only studied in convent. I mean, yes, it will be a bit unique in the sense of, you going to a girls' school, but you also studied abroad for 2 years.
Yes.
Right. So maybe share a bit about that.
I did study in an international school in Saudi Arabia. I was there for 2 years when I was 10 and 11 years old.
Okay.
So it's not to say I was too little, but I was at an age and a phase where I was aware of a lot of things, a lot of differences, a lot of understanding and all that. So my experience was kind of interesting because I was in a school where me and my brother were the only non-Muslims in the whole school.
Okay.
But it was interesting because we had an experience like no other, because being in international school, you get to study with people from different cultures, different backgrounds, and different nationalities.
Okay.
So for example, I had really close friends with Indians from India, Pakistanis, Syrians, Egyptians. So it was a very unique experience, I would say. And I really love the fact how we used to get along really well. I mean, I'm the only non-Muslim, so I'm going to be in class during Arabic lessons or during Islamic studies, or even, when they have solat.
Okay.
So during the
prayers.
Yeah, so during the prayer time, we have like a 15 minutes gap.
Okay.
So I used to, be there, I used to exist, I used to be present, and my friends never really made me feel left out in anything.
It was so normalized.
Yeah, it was very normalized, and they just include you in everything. So you don't feel, I mean, it's not like they are making you to join into whatever their culture is or whatsoever.
They're not enforcing their religion on you.
Yes, and at the same time, or even their cultures or whatsoever.
Okay.
But it's like, you do you, but we do it within the scope of whatever is practiced as a law. For example, so when I was in Saudi, that time we have arbayas, so we have to wear that, and we had a shawl. I mean, the rules then and now are totally different.
So you did cover your hair?
Yes, I did, but it wasn't really emphasized for non-Muslims.
Okay.
But I mean, we did have to wear the shawls and all that.
I see.
Like I said, the rules then and now are totally different because it's just different now. It's not very much enforced like it used to be before when I was there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a very, very interesting experience, and plus because the syllabus that we studied and the culture of school itself it seemed interesting. It seemed something like you would look forward to go to, because it's not like how, you know, here it's really stressed out. like you just feel the stress.
It's not only Asian parents,
Yeah.
like it's the schools as well. Just
Yes.
that sense of competition we have, right?
True. You know, definitely you would want to be like, oh, the first in the class or the first in the grade, because sometimes if you do really well, you get to skip a grade.
Okay.
So you would be with people who are older, your peers would be older than you in your class. But besides that, put all that aside,
Okay.
it was a fun learning experience, the way the teachers used to teach us, and it was like a very engaging two-way session, and it did involve a lot of critical thinking, and it wasn't just you hafal and then you go and muntahkan balik.
Go and vomit back in the
Yes,
exam. That's what
no,
we are doing,
it
right?
really
Yes.
wasn't like that.
Yeah.
As much as, yes, you have to memorize a lot of things, but you know, the way of answering the questions or the way the questions were asked, it was very, very different, I would say. And with that said, it helped a lot in understanding. So even if it's a weak student, it's easier for them to understand, even though they may not be at the same understanding capacity as the rest of the class or whatsoever. They still do learn something. They still do get something out of it. Reach about grade 6, grade 5 onwards, usually the students are very less. And usually what they did is up to a certain age, if I'm not mistaken, up till 9 years old,
Okay.
it will be mixed with girls and boys.
Okay.
But once you reach 10 and above or 11 and above, it will be 2 different blocks. So girls will be in one block, guys will be in another block.
Oh, they do segregate genders
Yes. So in that sense, each grade had just one class.
as well.
So
Okay.
it was pretty much okay. But of course, when there's the grading done and all that, it's you know, it's done in a way that it's combining both.
Okay.
Or there was one where it just separate as it is.
Okay, so I'm going to hold you there on the gender segregation part, right? Since they segregate the genders, the male and females, from a certain age, does that mean that interaction between different genders was something frowned upon publicly? I'm just a bit curious about the culture.
There was a reason behind it, because like, you know, in the culture there, for example, you have to wear your hijab, and
Okay.
you have to especially
Modesty
those,
is a big thing in Islam,
and
yes.
especially when those are actual hijabis, not like the ones who just wear it for fun.
Yeah.
The actual hijabis.
Yeah.
So some of them, they get to have the chance to, you know, be not wearing
They
a
get to
hijab.
free
Yes,
hair lah. They get
had-
to open
yes.
their hijabs. Yeah.
Yes.
Understood.
So with that, that's why it's in a way segregated.
Understood.
Because when we go for break time, our break time wasn't like here where we had benches and tables, by the way. It was just this big space where
Mhm.
it's like the carpet, like a grass kind of carpet.
Okay.
So it was that was our place for perhimpunan.
Okay.
That was our place for PJ. And that's also our place for our rehat.
breaks lah.
Yes.
Understood.
So in
Understood.
breaks, we don't really sit in like just random. We just sit on the ground,
Ah.
and we just like, it's like a picnic section kind
Okay,
of thing.
okay. Oh, so it's more casual that way.
And that is also the
that sounds
place.
pretty nice.
Yeah, and that's also the place they used to pray.
Mm.
So with that, that's why the gender segregation starts from some certain age.
Yes, they tend to segregate with genders. Yeah,
Yes,
understood.
correct.
Okay, so let's talk about when you got back to Malaysia. You had a very interesting 2 years, I guess.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you must have been really sad when you came back to Malaysia.
So very.
Okay, so let's talk about the transition. Was it a very big culture shock?
And everything was actually different, because like, you know, in Saudi it's more like we were just, not to say we were to ourselves, we do make noises, we do play around, we'll just goof around in class, and our class was a bit big, so it's just a few of us, so we get to have fun, games and all that, not saying no, but to an extent we were still not very noisy or very,
Are you
to
saying
say,
that kebangsaan students are very unruly? Are we
don't
too
know.
rebellious to your liking?
I do say that, I mean,
you do say that. Okay.
Yes, I do say that, because I will, like, I noticed that a lot of them, we do tend to break rules, and I think I learned that after I came back. But then on a serious note, besides the way of how we behaved in school, so I think maybe another plus point of studying in an all-girls school is we don't give a shit about anything. I'm so sorry, but like, we really don't care. We don't care about what others think, because
Okay.
so, you know, it used to be very easygoing. Like, even for example, if you have a period and you want to ask a pad, you just go to the front of the class like, hi guys, anybody have a pad? Aside, it also was a bit different when I saw it academically, because here everything was a competition.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody want to be the best. So sometimes it just feels like whatever knowledge you get, it's just for you to perform well for your education.
Because we are,
Yes.
it's a race against time, right? It's a race against finishing of syllabus on time.
True.
To make sure we get the highest scores so that we get into the best universities.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was interesting, and it's different.
Okay.
So when I came back here, it was very difficult for me to adjust to the study lifestyle. It was like everything was a competition, everything, and plus I joined in the worst time ever because it was UPSR year.
You joined in your standard 6?
Yes.
Oh god.
So and you imagine I have zero knowledge about standard 4 and standard 5.
How was your BM though?
My BM, I got a C. The first exam ever,
Okay.
I got a C. I'm not gonna be embarrassed about it.
No worries,
plus
we all
I
have
didn't-
our ups and downs.
Yeah,
That's
and
totally
plus
fine.
I did not. And
Totally
plus
fine.
I did not learn BM when I was
In the
back.
past 2 years
Yes.
in Saudi Arabia.
So
yes.
and everything was different.
Okay.
Because when you come to standard 4, 5, 6, you have pemahaman and penulisan separately.
Yeah.
When I transitioned and came here, even my science scores were really bad.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget because one of my teachers said that, she regretted, in a way, putting me in the first class
Okay.
because my results from Saudi were really good.
Mm?
But when I was performing in school,
Okay.
it wasn't up to the standard of what people were expecting it to be.
Okay.
Your
Few school
class.
teachers are the problems lah. Okay.
I had my Bahasa teacher. She was
Okay.
really nice. So my mom asked me if I wanted to go for tuition.
Okay.
And I said no. I just cannot cope with the whole half day studying in school and then come back and then you go tuition again. I was like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But I did go for Bahasa tuition because I really liked my Bahasa teacher back in school.
Oh.
And she had her own tuition, home
Own
tuition.
center, I see.
So I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go for this.
Okay.
So science, on the other hand, as much as it was dying, I was still improving little by little. So through every exam, I was still improving. Didn't go and get my results because
Okay.
at that time, I think my great grandma passed away or something like
I
that.
see. So you couldn't
So,
get your results.
yes.
Yeah. Oh wow, you had to meet that teacher who said that.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I
Okay.
was like, so she gave me. She's like, oh, this is your results for A1B. I was like, oh, okay.
You were pretty surprised.
Yes, I mean I did put in efforts and I was expecting a good result. So I wasn't really very surprised I got
Okay.
a good result for me. I thought that was okay. I was like, oh, okay. And she said, it's good to see you improving. I was like, oh, okay. Then she said, good job. So when I heard the good job, I was like, oh, okay.
It's always good for your efforts to be acknowledged, and I do
Yes.
understand sometimes teachers say this. I mean, okay lah, I understand that teachers, I'm trying to be very positive here. I
Yeah.
understand that teachers are trying to say this to encourage their students,
Yeah.
but I think sometimes the approach,
It's different.
the approach should be something that should be looked on deeply,
Because
sincerely.
some words really scar you for
Yeah,
life.
sincerely
for
from a
life.
student who was traumatized by teachers, please, to all the cikgu-cikgu Malaysia out there, I know that you guys are doing great job. Memang kita hormat semua cikgu-cikgu yang ada. But seriously, I mean, sometimes I understand the niat, I understand the intention, to encourage and so that, yelah kadang-kadang cikgu marah students sebab dia nak student dia improve. Okay, faham. Kita boleh terima. We can understand that. But I feel like, sometimes the approach should be looked on.
Yeah.
If let's say the student is, for example, a student is already trying, right? Who's already trying so much, you wouldn't know. Sometimes you don't know. Mungkin you tengok dia kat kelas macam main-main, tapi kat sekolah, kat rumah dia punya lah pulun study. We never know, right?
Yeah.
So I think these are certain things that teachers should look into it as well.
A spot where a lot of people who kind of, you feel criticized and people like look down on you for all the results for all these past months and months of your year 6.
Yeah.
And suddenly when, you get good results and you see people, you can know lah if people are fake to you or real to you. You can really easily know.
That is
But yeah,
normal lah,
that
normal
was
human
that was
beings lah.
definitely an experience
For
that
you as
I'll
well.
never forget. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a very heartwarming sharing of how your public school experience was, at least from that transition from Saudi Arabia going back to Malaysia. And yes, now you're a very accomplished individual as well.
Thank you.
Yes, you are also finishing your masters. So yes, congratulations again.
Thank you so much, Akra.
Let's get the focus back to Malaysia, because this is a Merdeka project, right? Do you think kebangsaan kids are like the ideal Malaysians? Because we get to mix with all races, so are we suddenly very fluent in Malay? What do you think about that?
I think it's an individual thing.
Okay.
Daripada us categorizing kebangsaan
So
students.
it depends on your effort lah.
Yes,
Okay.
because I have noticed students who study in kebangsaan school and they can't speak proper bahasa
Okay.
or they can't speak proper English.
Okay.
But I've also seen people who came from a Tamil school background or a Chinese school background, and
Vernacular school
they
backgrounds.
were getting pialas after pialas from pidatos and whatsoever. You know,
understood.
so it exists. So it all depends on an individual per
effort.
se. Yes, because for me, yes, kebangsaan school perks of it is you get to mix with all the different races. You get to learn every culture. You get
Let
to
me
learn.
stop you there. You talk about race integration,
Okay.
right? Racial integration. Do you think that all kebangsaan school students, do they really interact with all the races? Like, let's just be real.
Honestly, no.
Okay.
Because I've noticed how there are groups of people who just want to be in their specific ethnic groups.
Okay.
I mean, they will talk to you. Like, for example, let's say I'm a Indian or a Malay and you are a Chinese. So they will come and
But
say
they tend
hi,
to be
hello.
more comfortable with their
With
community.
yes.
So what do you think of that?
I feel, in a way, we have to get to know every person because there are different individuals with different characteristics
Okay.
and a lot of things, right?
Okay.
So maybe we could feel comfortable with our own specific community because
Because we were raised in the
yes,
same similar
but I
background
think
as well.
it always comes down to whether or not you want to. So like for me, my best friend is a Malay,
Okay.
and in school I was close with Chinese, Malays,
Okay.
Indians. We were all together. So for me, I felt like that was in a way very helpful in improving myself. So for
Okay.
example, bahasa. Let's just take bahasa for example.
Okay.
So when I came down to form 2, form 3,
Okay.
I had to improve my bahasa in
Okay.
terms of speaking because I felt that my speaking may have not been as up to par what it should be. Okay.
Understood.
And my in class, my deskmate was a Malay girl,
Okay.
and she needed to improve her English.
So that's how the exchange happened.
Yes. So I will speak to her in bahasa, she'll speak to me in English.
Ah.
And
That's a nice
eventually,
arrangement.
yes, and eventually she improved her English, I improved my bahasa.
Ah, that's nice.
So we actually sat and we were like, no, you know what? Because when we compared our exam results, for example, so she was like, oh, Annsley, nak kena improve lah saya punya English macam tu. And I'm like, yeah, I still need to improve my
Improve
bahasa.
your Malay.
So in that sense, we kind of it's not take advantage,
No,
but
you're not.
we are learning.
I
from
think
each
you're benefiting each other. It's
Yes.
mutualism at its
Yes.
finest. So it's a very
Yes.
good thing. I do encourage more people to do that.
We get to learn about their, for example, cultures
Yeah.
or whatsoever,
Yeah,
their belief system or how everything works.
Really, you have to just put yourself out there lah. Put yourself out of your comfort zone and just learn to interact with people. I feel like even between your same race, there's going to be very different sorts of people, obviously. So I think just be open-minded. I mean, it's okay if you cannot. And if you cannot be best friends with everyone, we
Yes.
understand the world can be a pretty crazy place to live in.
Yes.
So we totally get that.
Definitely.
We totally get that. But I think, just be nice lah. Just be nice to people.
True.
And talking about being nice, right? Let's get on to the last question. We are reaching the final session already. I know it's pretty quick, right?
I just felt like we just started.
Yeah. It's pretty quick. Yeah. So let's just talk about the Malaysia that you dream of. What kind of Malaysia that you have been idaming, idaming is not even a Malay word, it's not even an English word. But yeah, we Malaysians like to rojak like that.
Yes.
So,
So for me, especially Shakira now, when social media is crazy in the boosting category of life, okay,
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
is social media, anything is social media.
okay.
So for me, I feel that we, as much as we learn pendidikan civic dan
Okay.
kewarganegaraan in
Okay.
school, right?
Okay.
We learn that for years. Honestly, I feel like what is the point of learning all this when you do not actually practice it? If you open the comment sections of TikTok, for example,
No one
on a
has civic
simple-
education?
Yes. On a simple comment or on a simple post, for example, the
Yeah.
comments are just insane.
Yeah. The comment
And
sections are insane
and
nowadays.
the amount of racism present
true.
there.
Racism,
and-
misogyny,
yes.
especially racial tension lah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot. Time you want this country to be harmonious.
Yeah, understood.
And of course, we are not gonna. I mean, if you're gonna talk about cyberbullying, that's a whole other topic.
Whole different topic.
Yes, but with that included as well, social media plays a very big role now. And when I see even the latest, like for example, let's just take sports. Just
Olympics.
because yes, so just because, for example, something good doesn't happen to our country, athletes, for example,
Yeah, they get terribly
yes.
bashed. Yes.
and
It's very sad.
not only that, but we go and bash another country's
Yes,
athletes,
yes,
for example,
yes,
the
yeah.
latest one, right?
Yeah.
That we've
We
noticed.
Malaysian netizens we are really cool in all this
Yes,
now.
so
Oh my
you are
God.
quite expect Malaysia to be harmonious among our races and religions.
If we are not
without-
harmonious
yes,
ourselves.
Yes, so that one side. Another thing is what we practice is what kids see. So if we as adults, we are already bashing people online, or we are using the wrong words to say, or even when we see people in the streets and there's like a disagreement and you start using words that are degrading someone, children see that. And children are learning. They pick up very fast than what we can
and that becomes
actually
our culture.
think. Yes. So when as much as we say anak muda adalah harapan negara pada masa depan, how is that going to be a reality when our anak muda right now, we don't really practice what we learn in the first place? So for me, as much as I used to think, before in school, like pendidikan civic ni kenapa je nak belajar?
So but the problem, I think the problem is the approach, like the teachers, the way they approach the subject. That is something that we should look into.
So the way we learn it out, so that at least to some extent we know that what we are doing is right or wrong. I think that's something very much Malaysians should be aware of. And another thing is, of course, we don't go and put someone down and then we try to justify our actions lah,
That is what netizens are doing lah
yes
now.
So I noticed that a lot, and it's not only through social media, even through face-to-face interactions or whatever. You can't just go around tearing someone down without knowing the full story, without understanding. The problem right now in Malaysia we have is we don't have the understanding. So for example, even contohlah perlembagaan ke ataupun akta apa-apa ke,
we don't bother to find the actual knowledge.
like-
We feel like because we have a platform, we can say what we want to say.
and when the wrong things go out there, when people actually put the wrong things out there, wrong information out there, people don't really go and read back and fact check. When I see my children grow up or whatsoever, I would definitely dream of a Malaysia whereby we are very civilized. We are very careful of the words that we speak, and we foster the actual diversity and harmony that we have been preaching about for years, ever since our Merdeka.
I think to all the anak muda out there, I'm looking at you. This is something that we all should take note. Not only anak muda lah, to all the pakcik makcik, kan, just because you are quite old, pakcik makcik doesn't give you the right to say this kind of words. So let's all just be good people and be more respectful to each other. So yes, we are now at the end of the episode. Thank you so much, Annsley, for your time.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes, thank you so much. I had fun talking to you.
Me too.
And to all the anak muda, thank you so much for listening in. This is the final episode of Kau Sekolah Apa, and we'll see you in our next projects. Bye-bye.
Okay.